Murungi, good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Great. Excellent. Janatul, I hope I got that right, in Bangladesh. Excellent, excellent. So as you join in, I encourage you, please, if you don't mind, kindly have your microphones on mute and your cameras off. It'll allow us just to be focused and clear here. Excellent. Nyarai all the way from Harare in Zimbabwe. Winfred here from Nakuru. Margaret in Nairobi. Excellent. Just type in the chat box. It helps us to just be aware that, yes, we are also going live on social media. So in case anybody is having a hard time logging on to this session here in Zoom, you can be able to log on directly if you would like over our other social media platforms, that is YouTube. You can also be able to reach us again on Facebook as well, which we'll be going live on. This is the time. It is now 9 a.m. East African time. So we're just getting ready to start because we do not want to waste your time at all. So I encourage you, some of the tools of the trade, which are going to be very useful during this session, is to have a pen and paper next to you, because taking notes is a great way to remember the ideas that are going to be shared here today. I encourage you to have a pen and paper. Write down some of the ideas that you're going to hear and that you're going to be able to pick up on and begin to implement within your lives. So I ask that you have that with you as quickly as possible, because that's really going to be helpful. So have a pen and paper right next to you, even as we get ready for this session. As we said, as you join in, kindly, if you don't mind, it would be really, really great to know that, that you have done that. Just 1 second as I adjust my screen here as we get into this session on planning for retirement, the how and when to ensure a peaceful retirement. That's what we're looking for today. It's really, really great to have you all here present with us. 2 minutes past the hour. It is time to begin. Let me just get the presentation up on the screen, if you don't mind, for a second, and then we can get going. Excellent, excellent. Oh, look at that, look at that. It is truly an international group that we are speaking to here. Welcome to everybody who's logging on from different places around the world. It is so good to have you. Wow, wow, wow. You've got Christopher all the way from Dar es Salaam. Elizabeth here in Nairobi, and Maria as well. We've got Helen all the way in Lusaka. Wow, 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 wow. Look at that. Oh, goodness. This is amazing, amazing, amazing. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I just asked if you can type in the chat box where you're logging in from. That would be great, and we would be able to follow up. And in case anyone is having an issue joining here on Zoom, as I mentioned earlier on, you are free and welcome to join via social media. For those who are on Zoom, on Facebook, hi, how are you doing? Facebook also, you can type down there in the chat underneath the Facebook. You can place a comment there. On YouTube as well, you can place a comment there. Karibu, karibu sana. In Swahili, that means welcome. We are so glad to have you here. It means a lot to us as a team. So I want us to start off and write down a couple of things even as we begin. In case we have not met before, my name is Waithaka Gatumia. I serve here at Centonomy as CEO, and I'll be moderating this session. I want to take us through and be able to assist us to just get our heads around this issue of retirement. So at Centonomy, our mission is to shift mindsets so that purposeful people like yourself can be able to create wealth and to live abundantly. And so we are not just focused on the wealth creation end, we are also focused on trying to help us to think through what else are we doing with our lives. It has to be linked to some purpose. It has to be linked to something greater than what we've been working towards. It's not just about the money. And I'm sure many of us, one of the videos we've done recently has gone a little bit viral, where I mentioned the fact that we need cash flow during our retirement, and we'll be discussing it today. And there's been so much about, oh, people should not retire. I mean, like if you see some of the comments online, you'll just be amazed at what people are saying. So you see, retirement means different things to different people. However, one of the core areas that we must begin to think about as we go into that space is our income, especially for those who are coming from an employment background outside of these spaces. That's what we're talking about. How are you going to secure your life in terms of your finances beyond this session? However, if you also listen to that interview, for those who are paying attention to it, we also talked about what are you going to be doing? What are you transitioning into if you're going to be transitioning, and how early can you begin to do that? So as we begin to work on this discussion on wealth creation, especially with the retirement mindset, then we have to think seriously about our cash flow, our income during retirement. That's all that we were saying. But not only that, we have to think about what are we going to be doing with our time, our energy, our networks. We've got so much to offer in terms of our lives beyond this point, beyond what the world calls retirement. And so we have to think, what are we going to do in this timeline? And that's what we want to discuss this morning. So I want you to be ready to have an honest discussion. Let's keep the questions coming through and the ideas coming through in the chat box here on Zoom. If you're on our social media, on Facebook, on YouTube as well, in the comments down below, you can type in your chat, your questions, and we'll be able to pick them up from that point. But we've got an amazing group of speakers who are coming to speak to us today. And each one of them with their own experience from their own lives and also from what they do. And I ask you that if you can have a pen and paper to write down some of the things that you're going to hear, you will be amazed. I'm telling you, I've been looking forward to this for quite some time, and it has really been something that I've been looking forward to. I encourage you, have a pen and paper where you are, and we'll be able to get into this session together. Before we begin, I just want you to write down what we believe at Centonomy is a great definition of wealth. Now, listen, it is not the only one before I get in trouble, but it's one that will begin to get you to think differently around your money. Listen to this. Wealth is the ability, write it down. Wealth is the ability to live the lifestyle that you want. Wealth is the ability to live the lifestyle that you want without having to work. Now, listen, I didn't say no, you don't work before I get all the messages. No, it is really, really, really about having assets that are earning you an income that can sustain you, whether you work or not. Now, the thing is this, most of us will continue to work. In fact, I encourage us all to work because that energy of work and purpose is what keeps us going. But we want to begin to ensure that we have assets that are putting money in our pocket as we begin that journey of retirement. I wanted to say that before we get to our first speaker of the day, who is already in the house. I'll ask Charity Siganga if you can be able to switch on your camera so that I can discover where you are in this space. Welcome, Charity. It's so good to have you here. Charity has over 28 years of experience in the financial sector, including banking and insurance. She's coming into this space because she's going to be sharing from the perspective of what is a pension, what are some of these things that we need to think about during our retirement session. So I'd ask Charity, I can see you are in the room. There you are. Good to see you, Charity. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Waithaka. Good morning. And good morning, everybody.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I know that you've got lots to offer us today. I want to try and get you up on the screen. It is coming up just now. If you give me 1 second, I'll be able to see you there. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, Charity.
Yes.
You can see the amount of interest in this space of retirement. I hope you have come with every piece of information you have because people are hungry and we want to hear from you. Karibu sana.
Asante Waithaka. Thank you so much. You want me to begin?
So this is your time? Yes, go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much, and welcome everybody. Welcome to this session. And yes, Waithaka, I did get to see that clip that you were talking about. Very good. Very good. Very good. Because I think as we are thinking about how and when to ensure a peaceful retirement, there must be a shock factor. There must be a shock factor. And my talk today, I only have about 20 minutes. So I'm going to make it short and to the point. And my talk today, I am calling it Old Age Poverty, a Ticking Time Bomb. Old age poverty, a ticking time bomb. And I want you to just write that, as Waithaka says, old age poverty, a ticking time bomb. We are talking today about how and when to ensure a peaceful retirement. And the reason I have given my talk today that heading and that title is because we need to shock everybody into action and to realize the seriousness of pension planning and retirement, early retirement planning. Let me give you some statistics. In Kenya, only about 20%, and when I'm saying 20%, I'm being rather generous, only about 20% of the working population have a retirement plan and are saving towards retirement. Only about 20%. And when I say 20%, I'm being very, very generous. Only 20% have a retirement savings plan in this country out of the working population of any kind. And here we are talking about any sort of retirement plan. Only 20% of us have it. And these statistics vary slightly worldwide. It is not, there's a large population, part of our working population that does not have a retirement savings plan. And if all of us were to be honest on this platform, we will find that those statistics are not untrue. Now, here is the further clincher. Out of this less than 20% who have a retirement plan, only 5% will be able to retire peacefully. Only 5% will be able to retire peacefully. That means that out of this small number, it is only a further smaller number that has and will have sufficient retirement savings. We are talking today about old age poverty, a ticking time bomb. So it therefore means that the majority of us are running towards this ticking time bomb. Very few of us are running away from it. And so today, one of the things we want to learn is how can we run away from this ticking time bomb, which is called old age poverty? Because if, like as Waithaka was saying in that clip and the interview that he had, if you do not have sufficient cash flow when you are retired, guys, in your old age, you will experience poverty. It is a reality. I want to
stop you there for 1 second, Charity. I want to make sure that we're hearing it clearly.
Yes.
Your microphone is actually rubbing against your necklace there. So if it can come around the front.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Waithaka.
That's okay. Sorry. There we go. I think that might be a bit better.
Is that better?
Yes,
okay.
So that hopefully it's not going to be giving too much sound. Excellent. Go ahead now.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I apologize for that.
That's all right. That's all right. Go ahead.
So old age poverty is a ticking time bomb, and it is so much of a reality now. We are already seeing people who are getting into retirement and they are realizing that they do not have enough money. So for all of us, there are 3 questions as I begin. There are 3 questions that we must ask ourselves at this point as we are thinking about how and when to ensure a peaceful retirement. Number 1, ask yourself this question. Are you currently saving any money in a pension fund towards retirement? Are you currently saving any money in a pension retirement fund? Now this is just for yourself. Yes or no? Put down on your paper. The answer is either yes or no. Number 2, what is your targeted retirement fund balance when you retire at assuming the age of 65? What is the targeted amount that you want to have achieved and saved by the time you retire in that savings fund at 65 years old? Answer, yes, no, and then there's a third one, I don't know. Number 3 is what you are saving, and this is now for the person who is saving and has answered yes to question 1. If you are saving, is what you are saving on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, twice a year, or annually? Is that amount sufficient to get you to this goal in question number 2? Now here there are 3 options of answering. If you answered no in question 1, that means you also have a place to answer not applicable. The next answer is no. Another answer is yes. And then another answer is I don't know. So those are the 3 questions we must ask ourselves today. We must ask ourselves that, and you must have them down, write them down. Are you currently saving in any pension fund? Number 2, what is your targeted balance by the time you retire? Number 3, is the amount you are saving sufficient to get you to that fund balance that you want to have? Now, if for any of these questions, you have answered no or I don't know, you are running towards the ticking time bomb. You are running towards the ticking time bomb, and you are taking all your people together with you towards that ticking time bomb, because you are going to land into old age poverty. And you see, the only people who will help you are who? Your family, your children, or at least you hope they will help you. Your family, your children, your relatives, and then your friends. So you see, you're carrying them alongside with you and you're collecting them. You guys, let's go towards this ticking time bomb called old age poverty. And guys, if you have answered no to any of these questions, begin to prepare your registration fee to attend the classes at Centonomy. It is urgent, therefore, that you attend that class. Those classes to begin to teach you, okay, I don't have a plan, I don't have savings, and I do not want to head towards that ticking time bomb. What do I do? That is what Centonomy are here to help you with. You register for their classes to begin to teach you about money and begin to teach you about one of the fundamentals of financial planning called retirement planning. So you should not leave this session without beginning to think in your head, I must attend these classes. Guys, we must seek to run away from old age poverty. Now, definitions. When we are talking about retirement, what is retirement? Retirement is the action of leaving one's job, one's work, and ceasing to work. And for those people who think that you can continue working, let me tell you, age is not a number. It is not a number, guys. You will reach a point where you cannot work as hard. Ask anybody, I'm in my 50s, I'm 54. And I can tell you for a fact, you could have transnited when we were younger. You can't transnite now. You can't. You can't. There's certain schedules that are punishing even at 50. So imagine at 65, waking up at 5 o'clock to go to work. At that age, you need to begin to slow down. You will slow down. That's the way our bodies are, unfortunately. And there is the reality. For example, now, if you're working in a corporate society, corporate sector, you're working in an SME sector, micro sector, the employment, you will have to move out. You will have to move out to create space for the others. So you will have to retire. There's nobody who's 65 and you are continuing to work. It is a rarity. It can happen, but it is a rarity. So guys, it will happen. Unless you're living in a place like Japan. Japan allows people to continue working even into their 90s, but they are able to support that. But for most of us, it's not possible. So the best thing to do is to plan. So retirement refers to that time when you choose or you are forced to leave work. Now you can do a lot of things. It doesn't mean you stop working. You can do, and I think there's somebody else on this platform who will come and talk to us about how can we then take use of our experience, the knowledge, the skills we will have gotten by the time we are 60 or 65, and then begin to think about creating our own businesses. That is a talk for somebody else. And I think that is also something that is handled by Centonomy in one of their classes. Yeah. So it is something we can look for. So retirement, moving from a formal working place to a place where there is not such a regular income, is something that will happen. Number two, what is a pension? A pension is a long-term savings plan where your savings are put into a fund and allowed to grow with interest until the point at which you retire, either 50, 60, or 65. And then it can only be you can only access those funds when you retire. So if you're employed, your employer, if you're in a corporate sector, some of the SMEs, your employer can actually set up a fund. Even if your employer does not have a fund, you can actually set up an individual pension fund for yourself. So there's no excuse. There's no sitting to say, oh, you know, my employer does not. No, there's no excuse, guys. If your employer gives you that option, if they don't have it, you can ask for it. If the employer is not giving it to you, then you can set up an individual pension plan for yourself and begin to contribute. So there is absolutely no excuse. Number three, what is an annuity? An annuity is a very good, now that's question two, that one of asking about the balance. What is your balance? What is your target? How much do you want to end up with by the time I'm 60, 65? Because guys, there must be a target. You must have a target. Just like anything else, like when you're saying, oh, I'm saving towards a mortgage, I need to save for deposit. You have a target. How much? 300,000, 500,000, 200,000. You must have a target. So for retirement, that target, if you are planning that, okay, I want to end up with 5 million, I want to end up with 10 million, I want to end up with 20, 30, 50 million. Once you have retired, there is a product that is called an annuity. That product, now you take that retirement fund and you invest it in that product called an annuity, okay? That annuity now buys you a monthly income for, listen to this, guys, the rest of your life. So you get a savings by the time you're 60, 65, you take your 10 million, whatever, X amount, and then you buy this annuity product. Now that product ensures that up to the end of your life, from the point where you retire 60, with the point at which you buy it, it ensures that you get a monthly income till the day the Lord calls you home. So it becomes critical then, guys, that we begin to plan early and we begin to set a fund and to save regularly, early, towards that balance. Because then with that balance, you can then ensure that you have a monthly income for the rest of your life. You have evaded the ticking time bomb, you and your people. So now, just in conclusion, I want to give us some 10 tips. 10 tips. Why is it critical? If the ticking time bomb has not convinced you, 10 tips on why it is critical. Number one, we have said to avoid old age poverty. Please focus and start retirement planning, saving from the onset, the moment you begin working. So for you who have children and who are young adults who are beginning to get into work, make it a priority. Get them to begin saving towards retirement immediately. Start early. You can avoid old age poverty. Number 2, you see, when you start early, for example, if you're in your 30s, you're, let's say 25, you're just about 30. You have 65 minus 30 years, you have about 35 years to save. That gives you very good time, a very good time, and your savings can continue to grow. The earlier you start, the better. Let me give you a small statistic. With, let's say somebody who is in their 30s, and they decide we are saving, we want to end up with a target of 8 million, okay? Roughly 8 million. And they're in their 30s, and they plan on retiring at 65. So they have about 35 years, okay, to retire. Now, assuming a very conservative interest rate of about 7%, 6 point something, 7%, very conservative. With 5,000 shillings per month, this 30-year-old in 35 years can have reached that target of 8 million without adding anything. They're not adding more money than, they are just paying 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. Guys, the moment that person or a person who is older at maybe 40, 45, that 5,000 and everything else remaining constant, that 5,000 will triple or treble even. It will go 4 times, it will quadruple, sorry. It will go to 4 times. If you are older, the older you become, the more you have to save. Why? Because you have lost the concept of time. You have lost the privilege of time. So that 5,000, the person who's 30 years old can start with 5,000 and they'll reach 8 million, thereabouts. You who starts at 45 and you're trying to reach that 8 million, you will have to give 3 or 4 times more times that 5,000. So you're going to be like 20, 25,000. It is serious. It is serious, guys. So the earlier we start, the better. Number 2, when you start early, you benefit from the power of compounded interest. And that is what helps your savings to grow. So the power of compounded interest is what really helps to propel your savings so that it's not just staying there. And when you put your money in certain funds that are guaranteed, you can be guaranteed of some minimum amount that will help you, your balance to grow. Number 4, you will get peace of mind. This same thing, how to ensure a peaceful retirement. Once you know you are doing a savings, especially with those stats I've given you, you will actually have peace of mind. There is no stress, there is no distress. Why? Because you know that one financial goal called retirement income planning. You have sorted it out and you have made a plan and you are working towards it. And you will not have the distress of wondering, goodness, how will I pay for my medical bill? How do I pay for a medical cover when I'm retired? All right. Number 5 reason, the pension savings is a gift that keeps on giving. It is a gift that you're giving yourself and it keeps on giving you, because at the end of these savings, you will buy what? What we called the annuity, which will then ensure you have a salary for the rest of your life, even if you reach till 100. And people are living more now to 100 years. So even if you live till 100 years, that product will pay you a monthly income for the rest of your life. Number 6, start saving early for retirement. Why? Because your children are not a retirement plan. Do not think that your children, you see the way for some of us, our parents this age, your parents can call you and tell you, oh, you know, and even in Waithaka story, you actually mentioned that. Your parents have all these assets and yet they still call you, oh, you know, we have this, oh, the cow did this, oh, you know, they always mention when they're in distress. Or even you yourself, they don't need to mention, you visit them, you're like, hey, I think we need to sort this out for Kina Mami, Kina Daddy. You actually say that. But let me tell you where we are going now. Our children are not a retirement plan. They will ask you, and mark my words, your children will ask you, did you not save for retirement? They will ask you, there's something called retirement. Did you guys, savings, did you guys not save? So your children are not a retirement plan, guys. You must make a plan. Number 7, you can actually save on taxes when you save for your into a pension fund. You can actually have an amount that is tax exempt. Attend the Centonomy class, you will be taught about that. They will teach you. So go there and learn how you can save on your taxes and in a legit way. Number 8, retirement planning, income planning is a very critical component of personal financial planning. So if you want to learn how to be a good steward of money, there are a number of components that you must look into and handle. Retirement planning is one of those components. So when you handle that early, you can tick. You can actually tick, okay, great, that one I have handled. And it is one of your longest long-term goals that you must take care of. You must take care of. Number 9, planning early helps you increase your savings as your income increases. You see, now this 30-year-old who's earning a little money can say, okay, maybe 4,000, 2,000, I can start saving. When their salary increases, they then adjust, because that's what you're supposed to do. You then adjust. So you can keep adjusting your income. So that 5,000 does not remain constant. It doesn't need to remain constant. As your salary increases, you also increase your retirement savings like that. That is how you do it. So when you start early, you see, you already get that habit. You develop that habit. You never even think about that money. It's like taxes, pay as you earn. Let me tell you, when you look at your payslip, you never even look at the part of pay as you earn. It's a very painful thing. So you don't look at it. Even retirement becomes like that. You don't look at it. You just know, this is my savings for my old age. I am running away from old age poverty, ticking time bomb. So you're very happy. It gives you good endorphins every time you're thinking about it. And number 10, starting early to save for your retirement gives you a safety net. In case you're told, oh, you know, retrenchment, imekuja, sijui nini, oh, you're affected, oh, you see, even if you have to stop saving for retirement for a bit, because let's say you are retrenched or something has happened, you already have an amount that is quite good that will continue, it continues earning. You see that wealth that continues to earn, the passive income, it continues to earn, even without you adding. So you can take a little bit of a break, and then when you settle, you can continue adding it into your savings retirement plan. So question, 3 questions we said. Are you currently saving any money in a pension fund? Number 2, what is your targeted amount that you want to end up with? Number 3, is the amount you are saving enough to get you to that targeted amount? Okay, those are the 3 questions. Keep them top of mind as we close. These are the things that you must do. Number 1, we have said, attend the classes at Centonomy, please, to learn. And I can see a number of questions coming in fast and furious. Those are the things that you're going to be helped at the class. Attend, register. Those are the questions. Because guys, remember, retirement is only one component of money and personal financial planning. You must learn all of them so that now you have a well-rounded knowledge of money, and then you can move forward with everything concerning money in your own personal life. Start immediately, set a plan, consult a financial advisor. Now, once you've attended the class in Centonomy, now you consult an advisor to now work with you and make a plan, devise a strategy, track your retirement, track your savings, regularly ask for statements. Don't just be blind, ask for statements, amend your savings and increase them as your incomes increase. And number 6, do not dip into your retirement savings. Do not dip, avoid dipping into your retirement savings, so that we do what? We avoid the old age poverty a ticking time bomb. Thank you. You're muted.
Charity, Charity, I want to let you keep going, but we don't have the time.
No, we don't have the time, I know.
And this is the frustration that we have in sessions like this, because there is such a hunger for the information. But the reason that we're doing this is to build the information, knowledge, so that you can start making choices yourself and making choices for what you have talked about. Charity, as you've said, the questions that are coming in is, so there are tax questions, there are numbers questions. Now, what I want to encourage everybody who's listening to this, listen to me carefully. These questions are not complex. It's just that they are many. And so in a short session like this, it is difficult for us to answer everybody's individual issue, because these are things that we have to work out. It is not hard maths. And by the way, when you come into a Centonomy class, it is not a mathematics class. In fact, we give you the answers so that you can do the calculation yourself. Why do we do this? It is because we want to make sure that you have made the decisions for yourself. So when you come into the session, the classes that we're talking about, we're able to answer each one of these. We give you the templates, we give you the calculations so that you can know the exact number that you want to reach, the one that Charity was talking about. You can begin to understand what you need to do today in order to achieve that number in future. And then you actually come out with a plan. Now, let me tell you, everybody who's listening to this, let me just be honest the same way that Charity has been honest with us. You cannot come up with a plan in a two-hour webinar like the one that we're doing right now. It takes a bit more time, it takes thinking, it takes planning. And so I encourage you, wherever you are in the world, this is the time for you to begin to think seriously, not even just to think seriously, but to actually sign up for this class. It is called Centonomy Gold, and I want to explain a little bit about it. This is an 8-week program, which is designed to help you to take a proactive approach to achieving your retirement goals. You come into class once a week, every Saturday at a time like this, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And the idea is this, all these classes right now, because due to COVID, are all available online. And we've had people from around the world, from as far as Australia to Canada. Everybody is coming in. The only place we don't have students at the moment is South America, and that's because we don't speak Spanish or Portuguese, but we're getting there shortly. I want you to join because it is a space in which you will learn from others' experiences, you will grow to network and to build. The classes are online and they start from the 4th of September. And we cover multiple areas: what to do in retirement, the lifestyle audit that we're talking about here, dealing with debt. Charity was not able to get to that right now, but debt is something we must deal with before we get there. The investing for security that she talked about, your pension and other investment instruments that we're talking about. Then living abundantly into that transition. It's not just about sitting back and doing nothing. In fact, that is dangerous, and that's what we're going to hear from some of the other speakers who are coming up just now. Investing for sustainability, and then turning your skills, what she said, your abilities, your experiences into what we're talking about here, which is now opportunities for them to earn for you. And then we think about a legacy. I love that you said that, Charity. You said it very clearly. And you said that your children should not be your retirement. In fact, this is my personal opinion, and I hope I share with you, that it would be that you give your children an inheritance. Can we begin to build wealth from generation to generation? That's what is holding us back as Africans. We are taking generations backwards rather than propelling them forward. That's my opinion. I hope you're ready for it. But I want you to understand this. Listen to us. I know, because in this room and those who are watching online, I can see we've got over 100 people on Facebook. We've got 100 people on other platforms and in this place. This program is designed for you as you are preparing to get into that transition. However, at Centonomy, we offer programs at different stages in life. We offer programs for teenagers. You can see it there on the screen. The Teens Boot Camp, which is actually starting next week as students are on holiday. Some of them are going to be able to attend the Teens Boot Camp next week, which we're running at Kariuki Country Club. We've got the Campus Edition, which is coming up in September. We've also got the Centonomy 101 program. If you're 25 to 45 years, this is the program for you, because the strategy is slightly different than when you're 45 and beyond. As you're going into your 40s, 50s and beyond, we want to now have that mindset of transition, which is what this program is about. So if you have a question about which is the right program for you, we will assist you with that. And I'll tell you more about this as we go forward. But for those who are interested in the Centonomy Gold program, the one I've designed, I've just taken you through, you can make your registration right now. It's 1,000 shillings. We've given you a discounted rate. It's usually more than that. It is 1,000 shillings only today. You can do it via pay bill. You put in your first name and the word gold, and we'll be able to reach out to you. The issue is this for everybody in this room, that we would start working towards that retirement, which we're looking forward to. Now, I'm taking too much time because we've got an amazing group of speakers, as I mentioned to you, who are coming to share with us. Up next is a dear, dear friend. We've partnered with Valentis Health actually in running the Centonomy Gold program. And Dr. Caroline Onyango is going to be sharing with us her experience. Dr. Caroline, if you can switch on your camera wherever you are and your microphone. There you are, excellent. You know this because there are different needs for human beings at different stages in life. As a research analyst and also working closely with Valentis Health, I know you have so much information. Please talk to the people about what they need to know getting into this space. I know you don't have much time, but I know you'll do an excellent job. Karibu sana, Dr. Caroline.
There we
go. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. I'm really loving this session, Gatumia. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, it's such a pleasure for us to be here today. I do want to share some slides. I've been debating as to whether it is that I should share them or not. I think I want to, because what it's going to do is it's going to allow me to keep myself within the time that you have given to me. So if I can get sharing, perfect. There we go. Let me just get that going. Are you able to see that?
Yes, we can see.
Oh, good. Great. Great. So, you know, it's always such a pleasure for us to talk about health issues and anything concerning health, because in as much as finances is really, really important, if you don't have good health, it's very difficult for you to navigate anything that concerns your financial well-being. And so, you know, for us, when you asked us, Waithaka, to come on and to talk about some of the things that are very dear to us as people who are practitioners of healthcare, it was a no-brainer for us to do so. And so, just by way of introduction, let me just quickly let you know who we are. We are a company that was set up for the main purpose of educating people on good health in particular, because you know health can go either ways. It can either be bad or it can be good. And so we are a group of professionals with varied backgrounds, having worked in various places in the world. We have scientists such as I am a scientist by profession. And then we have doctors and clinicians, and we also have mental health experts. And today with me on this call is one of my work colleagues, Dr. Osara. I'm hoping that at some point I will have him come on just for a hot second so that he can talk about some of the things that we're really invested in doing. And so under the umbrella of Valentis Health as a company, we as health practitioners work in two main ways. We have a clinic that deals predominantly with preventive healthcare, and then we have a telemedicine platform that is called Dial Daktari. And through this telemedicine platform, what we've been able to do is to interact with our clients and our patients in a much more intimate manner, because it's very difficult for doctors to, and especially if you look at the ratios of doctors to the population in Kenya, you have too few doctors and it's very difficult for them to reach people. So telemedicine really is one of the ways in which we have decided that we will interact with those who we are serving. And so when we talk about health transitions, we talk about health transitions because health transitions are very important. Health transitions, transitions in health are really important for us to get into, because if you are not prepared for a transition in your life, it is very possible that you will not go through it in the manner that we want to. And so we are here today to ensure that you understand that as you're going through any transitions in your life, you have to be aware of some of the health ramifications that you need to be looking into. And so when we speak about transitions, we are addressing retirement predominantly. However, there are many types of transitions that people go through. And so whatever it is that we're going to be talking about today, and we're only just going to talk very briefly about some of these situations, they will relate to the many various types of transitions that people go through. Transitions from being students to full-time employees, transitions from coming in out of the workplace into being self-employed. Most of what we're going to talk about this morning will relate to any one of those transitions, and not necessarily just to people who are going into retirement. And so I'd like just to say this, and probably this is a good time to do so. The notion that we can cover all things health related in the 20-minute slot that we have been given is absolutely not going to do it. It's ludicrous to even begin to think that we'll be able to do so. But what we are going to do, and what we hope to do here, is to get you to start thinking about your health, and particularly to start thinking about how you can engage your primary health physician in ensuring that as you go through these transitionary periods, you're doing so with someone in the background, such as what we here at Valentis do with the people that we are walking through the transitions, right? So when we talk about health transitions, there are two levels. There are two levels at which we're going to discuss that. And the two levels that we're going to discuss it is the physical health and the mental health. The mental health is probably the one that is more important than the physical health, and we'll get into that a little bit later on, and I'm hoping that Don will have the time to do that. There is a third level as well. There's a third level that isn't too often talked about, and in my opinion is actually even more important than the physical and the mental health, and that is spiritual health. And I say that it is actually very important because spiritual health is what underpins your physical and your mental health. And so hopefully at some point we will be able to get into that, especially within the context of the actual Centonomy course. But for the purposes of here and now, what we'll be doing is concentrating on physical and mental health. And hopefully what we will do is to convince you that your health is actually as important as your ability to create wealth, because that's what Centonomy is all about. And so we are here to make sure that you are able to do so. Now, if you consider a list of the most stressful life events that anyone goes through, if you consider the life events that one goes through during your life cycle, retirement will always appear in the top 10 events, and more so if it is that you have not planned for it. So what you want to do, and this is where I give credit to Centonomy for doing this, what you want to do is to ensure that you are mitigating the circumstances that will create your transitionary period as being a traumatic one. What you want to do is to make sure that you understand the right way in which to walk into retirement. And Charity has actually laid a very good foundation in making you understand that if you do not take care of what you need to take care of right now, you will end up retiring as poor. And that's certainly what we're going to do. So it therefore behooves you as the individuals who are here right now to begin to think about how to get yourself into that place where you are financially stable. However, on the backdrop of that, you have to also consider your health, because when considering your health, if you do not have good health, it really doesn't matter whether it is that you have money in the bank. It really doesn't matter whether it is that you are asset rich. You have to have your good health to enjoy any of that. And so those are some of the things that we are hoping we will help you navigate through. And so when considering health, what we want to do, especially with regards to physical health, you're looking at three main things. You're looking at movement, and please note, I did not say exercise. You're looking at movement, you're looking at diet, you're looking at sleep, and Charity has already alluded to some of the issues that are important with regards to sleep. So let's consider movement for a very brief second here. And really what we're doing here is not to attempt to delve comprehensively into some of the things that we're talking about, but rather to get you thinking seriously about your health and you know, making sure that you have the basis with which you begin to start to build up on, especially when you're thinking about physical health. And so when you're considering movement, and the reason that we talk about movement as opposed to exercise is because anything that you do that gets your body moving, anything that you do that gets your body moving contributes positively to physical well-being. So it does not have to be typical exercise as we know it, where you're either working out at a gym or running X miles per day. Gardening, for instance, is a wonderful way of movement, and it gives you the exercise that you need, even though it is not considered a traditional exercise. So we do not place limitations on any of the clients that we talk to with regards to what it is that they're doing. If it's not kickboxing, we're not going to say, no, that's not right. If it's not Pilates, we're not going to say, no, you have to get into a Pilates program. Rather, what we do is we help you work and play in such a manner that you are getting the requisite exercise that you require to ensure that your body is working. So it's important to understand that physical movement is very, very critical. The reason being that if it is that you do not move, if it is that you are sedentary and you're constantly not doing anything at all, remember that the bodies that we have been given are fearfully and wonderfully made, and they were not made for sedentary lifestyles. Our bodies were built for you to stand upright. And so when we look at the amount of time on average that we spend sitting down, and especially in this period of time while you're still working your jobs, whether it be that you're in the corporate setup or wherever it is that you are, much of our time is actually spent sitting down, right? And we place ourselves in sitting down for numerous hours, we place ourselves at risk of developing what we call chronic sitting disease. Chronic sitting disease. And chronic sitting disease is as real as any other chronic ailment that you know of, with the dire consequences if you do not mitigate the circumstances that lead up to something like that. And just so that you understand what this is, chronic sitting disease will give you poor health and will lead you to early death. Chronic sitting disease will give you poor health and it will lead you to early death. In fact, what it does is it increases your risk for things like obesity, which of course is pretty obvious, but also for things like diabetes and heart disease and even some cancers. And so you want to make sure that you are not creating a situation where you're transitioning into your retirement with diseases and conditions that you have created whilst you were not in retirement. So if you consider just that aspect of your physical health, the lack of movement, and probably the sedentary lifestyle that you are involved in right now, you would need to begin to make very intentional decisions to incorporate moving into your daily life. And so here is the other thing that you have to take into consideration when you're thinking about intentional movement. Intentional movement on a daily basis will not only keep away physical ailments, but it will also reduce your risk for mental health. It will reduce your risk for mental health issues. And we do know that when you go into a retirement space, you have to walk into it with your mind in the right place. And Don will be talking about it in a few minutes. So the people who sit for more than 8 hours, studies have shown us that when you sit for more than 8 hours, with regards to your mental well-being, you increase the probability of becoming depressed by 50%. There's a 50% risk in your getting into a depressed state when you sit for 8 hours, and it's been shown that it's cut down by half if you reduce the number of hours that you're sitting. So that's 4 hours per day. So bringing this back into the transition that we're talking about and transitioning into your retirement years, and particularly for those of you who are already considering to do so, how many hours per day? Now, this is a question that is really critical for most of you to ask. How many hours a day do you invest in some sort of movement? And maybe the more pertinent question to ask is, how many hours a day are you currently sitting down? How many hours a day are you sitting down and not moving, so that if they exceed 7 to 8 hours, are you predisposing yourself to some of the things that you definitely do not want to walk into your retirement with? You want to make sure that you look into those situations and make sure that you are beginning to plan what your health lifestyle will be as you move into retirement. And so I talked about 3 pillars. I talked about movement, diet, and sleep. I will not go into diet just because there's not much time here. But what I do want to do is to make a point on sleep. And Charity did a good job of starting this off for me. Sleep is probably the most misused gift that has been given to us. It is the most misused gift that is given to us. And I say this because when it comes to ordering your day, sleep is probably what you will compromise before anything else. So if you're a very busy person, you are likely to decide to sleep for shorter hours so as to accomplish what it is that you need to do. And so here is the thing about that. If you are compromising your sleep in an effort to pack in more time within your work so that you can get more wealth coming at you, what you're probably doing is making things harder for you. You could be the healthiest individual. You could be hitting the gym 2 hours a day, every day of the week, and eating exactly as you're supposed to be eating. But if you do not sleep, if you do not have the requisite amount of sleep that you are supposed to on a daily basis, as sure as the sun comes up every morning, your health will be running into the ground, and very quickly at that. So you want to make sure that you're making the plans to have adequate sleep, because sleep is important, and its importance cannot be overemphasized. Because through sleep, you're able to rejuvenate your body, you are able to repair your body, you're able to hit that reset button, so that by the time you come out of a proper period of sleep, you're refreshed to handle whatever it is that you're supposed to be handling during the day. So poor sleep habits, just so that you know, some of the things that we take into consideration as we're talking about sleep hygiene. Poor sleep habits will cause your brain damage. It will cause your brain damage. And if it is that you're walking into your retirement years, you want to ensure that you're quick, you're sharp, you're able to do the things that you want to do to take you out into your retirement years in the manner that you want to do so. And here's something that you need to take into consideration for those of us who are older and retiring, because we have actually worked in the way that we have, desired to work throughout our working life. If you do not sleep well, you increase the probability of early onset of Alzheimer's disease. Now, that is for those individuals that are prone to Alzheimer's disease, right? So you want to make sure that you're sleeping to keep off diseases that have to do with your mental capacity. Sleep deprivation will also result in irritability. It will result in memory loss. It will also result in depression if it is that you're going on for long periods of hours without any sleep. And so you want to make sure that you have good sleep hygiene practices. And all these are some of the things that we will be looking into as we go into the course and as we help you transition through into your retirement years or whatever it is that you're hoping to transition into. And so we have barely dipped into some of the things that need to be taken into consideration with regards to your physical well-being. But what I would like for us to do is to now consider your mental well-being and the importance of your mental state when it is that you're going into retirement. Your mental health is so critical to everything about you, and that cannot be overemphasized. Your mind, the state of your mind will determine whether or not you will successfully move from one phase of your life to the next one. And your capacity to harness your mind and the ability of your mind to do the things that you want it to do has to be predicated on your understanding of how the mind works. So if you don't know how the mind works, and if you don't know how to keep out of your mind some of the negative effects that creep into your mind and will be detrimental to your well-being, it will be important for you to do so. And those are some of the things that we will be looking at. And some of the negative things that we are talking about are anxiety, fear, and depression. So the entrance of any of these negative states are the things that we are going to hopefully help you start to think through. Because what science has shown us is that 90% of the ailments that we experience, 90% of the ailments that we experience actually begin with the mind. They come up as a result of the negative effects of the thought processes that you have in your mind. And so it becomes so important, and I really cannot emphasize this enough, it becomes really important for us to know which mindsets you have to walk into your retirement with. So it will be critical to understand what mindsets have you put on. Are they good? Are they bad? What limiting beliefs have you appropriated? And how do you dismantle these limiting beliefs with regards to doing some of the things that you really want to do? And so I think it's important for us to do this. And what I want to do is to stop here. I think I have 5 minutes left, and I want to give that time to Dr. Don. Don, if you're there, how about you just pick up from where I've left off in terms of the mind and letting us understand what we need to do.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for Waithaka for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this fantastic conversation. I mean, it's really exciting. It's quite early on this end, but I caught part of Charity's talk. I caught your talk. I listened to what Carol said. And without going over anything that Carol's talked about, for me, your health is, from my perspective, is everything, right? I have seen people who have had health, and when they lose it, they become a shadow of their former self. And we all know this. And so I'm not going to go and talk about it, but what I'm just going to touch on is the relationship between retirement, mental health, and stress and anxiety. I mean, let's face it, everybody is here because when you retire, there's an element of stress and anxiety that accompanies that. Why? Because you lose, or if you're not planning for it, you lose your source of income. You lose your source of financial stability. So there's anxiety and stress around that. What I see as a massive, massive link in that is this. We have transitioned from, as human beings, from infectious diseases. Yes, I know we're in the middle of a pandemic, but before the pandemic, it was about lifestyle and chronic diseases. And lifestyle and chronic diseases are all about behavior. Behavior is all about the mind. The mind is all about our thinking. What is it that we think every single day that actually influences our behavior and hence our health-seeking activities? And when I look at what we're doing in terms of, as a healthcare practitioner, I look at stress and anxiety as being the two biggest things that are going to cause the biggest ripple effect for the next decade. Stress and anxiety are things that we're all experiencing right now in the midst of the pandemic. We're all worried about, the pandemic, the actual, getting infected. We're worried about how it's going to affect us financially. We're worried about what's going to happen, in our careers, in our jobs, to our families, and it goes on and on, all around the virus. So this virus, which is a health situation, has actually got us to think a lot about things now and things in the future. And when we look at health and retirement, I only want to talk about one thing. What are our value systems? Our values are the things that we cherish the most. And if you look at the top 3 things that you cherish the most in your life, you need to be very clear about what they are. And if you list them down and you're very honest with yourself, and health is not necessarily a part of that, it's something that you probably need to consider, because at some point, health is going to come and bite you. It doesn't matter who you are. All of us are mortal. And what we do at Valentis is try to create an environment or a program where you actually are not obsessing about your health, but your mental and your physical health are as important as everything. Your financial health, your relationship health, all of those things need to be put together. So I know we are very short of time, and I know we are running late, but what I want you to look at is to give people the opportunity now to be able to think about the things that are really important. So your values are important. What are the things that you're going to do now to enhance your health? That's a very difficult question, because if we ask people in the street, what can you do right now? They'll say, oh, I need to exercise or eat better. But it's not as simple as that, because we all know that. It's about actually listing them, having goals. What goals do you have? What resources do you have to be able to enhance those health goals that you have? Are you very clear? Are you very intentional? Now, habits take a while to form, but if you look at some of the richest, most wealthiest people, they have very clear, very distinct health habits. So if you look at your ability to create wealth, and you look at your ability to have a healthy mind and body, those two things are very synergistic, and they will propel each other. So it's almost like a force multiplier. So I'm not here to preach about diet and obesity and hypertension and diabetes. Those are very important things. But I'm here to talk about, you need to think about where you're going in terms of financial, but also think about your health. Because if your stress and anxiety go to very high levels, then you start to hit depression. If your depression becomes very severe, you're looking at suicide. That's a very, very, very dark place to be. If your physical health deteriorates, you have a heart attack or you have a stroke, again, a very dark place to be. So without going into more depth about anything, what I'd like to say is this is a really, really fantastic program. For us, we're here to give you the tools to be able to enhance your health. Centonomy is doing a fantastic job. I really, really like what I'm seeing right now. Fantastic job in helping people plan for the future financially. We're just here to be able to enhance the journey in terms of being the mechanic, so to say, in terms of the car and the vehicle. So I'll hand back to Waithaka, because I just know we're really running late, and I would have gone on, but I decided to just not put any slides on and just leave it at that.
Don, I'm telling you, the feeling that I have, especially when you come into sessions like this, is you want to give people as much time as possible, but we also recognize we can't cover everything. What I loved is that you're giving us practical things that we can start doing. I hope everyone is taking down notes. What Carol said was, number 1, movement. Number 2, what's your diet? And number 3, something which I mean, most of us don't think about, which is sleep. I'm taking notes, Don. I'm taking notes. Give us 3 tips for our mental health before you go, because I know people are thinking deeply about their mental health. What are 3 things that we can think deeply about when it comes to our mental health?
Okay, so 3 tips. Tip number 1, clearly define where you want to go. If you're very clear on where you want to go, not your friend, not your relative, not your brother, not your spouse, if you're very clear and concise, that eliminates a lot of stress, because you don't turn day to day with whatever the fashion is. That, and I know from financial planning, that's a very, very clear thing.
Yeah.
That's number 1. Be very clear. Number 2, take breaks and take time to relax. We live in a very hectic world in Nairobi and in Kenya. Everyone's running, everyone's racing. And we don't stop, we don't pause, we don't relax. And relaxing is not necessarily being on the phone or watching television or on social media. Relaxing is just really unplugging from quote unquote the matrix, okay? Number 3, gratitude, okay? We've got to stop. We've got to stop now in terms of mental health and physical health and be able to say, what do I have? We live in a world where we're just constantly chasing goals, constantly chasing goals. You've got to be you've got to have gratitude, because when you have gratitude, your body gets rejuvenated. We all know this from a physical, mental, and a spiritual perspective. If you sit down and say, you know what, I've got a roof over my head, I've got food, I've got clothes, my loved ones are not in hospital, that already makes you feel wealthy. And if you can feel wealthy, then the sky's the limit. So those are 3 tips that we just really need to practice. If you can do those 3 things every day, you're on your way.
I knew I could throw that at you and you'd have it on the tips of your fingers. I'm telling you, Dr. Don, yesterday was my 40th birthday, and I am so grateful in my life to be with my family and my friends. And this is a time of celebration. In as much as but even as I enter into my 40s, I now am really seriously thinking about that retirement age. It's not as, it becomes real once you cross over. And I'm so grateful to you and to Dr. Caroline as well for sharing your time with us with Valentis Health. That's why we've partnered with you. For everyone who's listening, we partnered with Valentis Health. They've run a program within the Centonomy Gold program just to speak around these health issues in a lot more depth. In that, during the class, we give these guys over 3 hours and follow-up time to get into the details around our health. But I know for all who are listening, they can be able to follow us. Thank you so much to Valentis Health, Dr. Don, Dr. Caroline. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Right.
So guys, as we're listening, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. As we're listening to this session, I want to make this clear. At Centonomy, we run this program because we realize in a talk like this is only 2 hours. When you come into the class, we have over 30 hours of training material that will get you to the place that you need to be. But you don't come in for 30 hours at a go. You come in once a week. For 3 hours, you're going to be with us for once a week during this program. And what you're going to be learning is all the things we're talking about there. What are we going to transition into? How do we audit our lifestyle so we can do what Charity was talking about, having an actual target? We'll bring in special bonus sessions, as we talked about here with Valentis Health, to discuss that issue of good health, both physical and mental health. The program starts on the 4th of September. So you have time to register and to get into the class. This is a great time for you to be doing this. All the programs are offered online via Zoom in a similar space as what you're looking at right now. The classes are on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. East African time at a time like this. So if you're able to log in today, then you'll be able to log into the class. And we offer them in this very good environment. You register today with only 1,000 shillings. It's been discounted during this COVID period because we understand we under financial stress. You can register today with only 1,000 shillings, and then the rest of the fee is payable in installments, 2 installments that are there. You can see them on the screen. You can pay via M-Pesa, which you can see there as well, 986850. What you do is we're giving this special registration fee of 1,000 for today. Normally it is 1,500 shillings, but we're giving you a whole 500 shillings off or $5 off whichever place you are in the world. So you can register with $10 or 1,000 shillings. That's all that it is. And then we will give you all the information about the classes which are coming up. We'll send you the class details, the timelines, how much it's going to take of your own time outside of the class for preparation. We'll give you all the breakdown. And in case you need more information, there's a number at the bottom of the screen there, +254 792 283 011. And you can reach out to Lynette at centonomy.com. Lynette is the one who's running our Centonomy Gold program. She'll be able to give you all the details that you need. For those who are wondering, just one more time on M-Pesa, you can be able to register and to be able to get into the class as it is right now. I can see a couple of questions, people saying, hey, I've come into this session late, especially for those who are on Zoom, even those who are on social media. Don't fear at all. This entire session is being recorded, which will be available on our social media. That is on our Facebook and our YouTube. This entire session is being recorded and is available there, so you can come back to it and review it. If you missed the earlier speakers, you can come and check it out. In case you drop off the Zoom, you can go quickly to our social media on Facebook and on YouTube, and you'll be able to see those things. For our international audience, as I said, we have students on 5 continents on this world. The only place we haven't gone is South America, and it's a language barrier. We're getting there. You can be able to make your payment via the bank details that are on the screen. It's only $10 to register, and we will send you all the details that you need for the class that is coming up. So let me tell you this, we can't cover everything in this 2-hour webinar, but we're going to do our best to give you as much information as possible, and then we'll pick up from there. So on to our next speaker. And this one, I am so excited because he was so gracious to us a couple of weeks ago to host me on his own TV channel. I mean, when you're talking about somebody who is really, who owns his own TV channel, Now you're talking about somebody who is entering into wealth. Bishop Mark Kariuki, who is the presiding bishop of Deliverance Church International. He's an entrepreneur. He's an author. He's a father. He's a grandfather. If I was to list all his achievements, it would be very difficult. Bishop Mark, if you can switch on your camera where you are and your microphone, we're ready to hear from you, because I wanted to hear your story, Bishop Mark. I wanted to hear what you have been through, what your plans have been. Even as, you know, I got into a lot of trouble a couple of weeks ago, as I said, trying to tell people that there's such a thing as retirement. And I know people think retirement is you stop doing anything. No, it is about purpose and life, isn't it, Bishop Mark? So I want to welcome you to speak and tell people about your journey for a couple of minutes here. Karibu sana.
Well, thank you so much, Waithaka, for this opportunity to be able to just be a part of this. Let me let you know. Last Sunday, I celebrated my 70th anniversary. So I hit 70, and I'm still going. We just got back with my wife from Masai Mara, where we went to celebrate with the animals and just to have a good time. Now, I know we are short of time, but whatever God has meant for every one of us, they will receive it in the name of Jesus. I've listened to the speakers this morning that came before me, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this and the class that is coming. Dr. Caroline mentioned about spiritual health, which is ignored a lot. And my thinking is this must be the reason why Waithaka asked me to come, so I can bring in something to do with the spiritual health. Because you know, man is a spirit being, and but he lives in a body and has a soul. So when we understand that, then we know that the body will depend on the spirit. The soul will depend on the spirit. So when the spiritual health is not taken care of, we are in trouble. There is some imbalance. There is a lot of imbalance that takes place. But once we adjust and get the spirit man in the proper perspective, then our lives are changed. Let me also say, Waithaka, that I got born again. I'm not ashamed of that. I got born again at the age of 22. At the age of 22, I was still in college, and I can testify and say that God is faithful. One of the things that I remember very well, right from early days, is when I was sent to Mombasa, posted to Mombasa for my first appointment, and my brother escorted me to the coast bus, and he told me the first thing you need to do when you get your salary is pay for your rent, and then once you're paid for your rent, you get some little money to save. Make sure you always have some money to save, so you can send to your mother, you can do this, you can do this, you can do that. And I caught that very well. Then I got married. When I got married, one day I go home and I find my new wife has knitting needles and a thread, and she is knitting. And in my heart, I said, man, it's good to be married. She's knitting a sweater for me. And she continues knitting, and then I see it is long. I'm wondering, would this fit me? Then all of a sudden, the thing changes and becomes a tiny little thing. And I asked her, what is that you are knitting? And she asked me, don't you know? What? What are you knitting? And she said, our baby is coming, so I am knitting some socks for the baby. Now I am talking about preparation. I'm talking about preparation because if we do not prepare for the future will find us unprepared. If we do not prepare for tomorrow, tomorrow will not postpone its coming. Retirement will not postpone, it's coming. It is coming. Now, I am one of those people who believe that retirement is not stopping to work. Retirement is not stopping to work. It is actually changing the work that you have been doing, so that instead of being under someone else's management, you are under your own management. You can wake up with the time you want to wake up. You can go where you want to go at the time you go without any restrictions. That's what I look at as retirement to be. But in your retirement age, if I decided to go to London, I will just call my travel agent and tell them I want to get a business class ticket to London and back on this date, and I will get it without calling the bank first to find out what is the balance in the account, because I have prepared for it. So in my wife's knitting, I saw preparation. So what did I do? I realized that from my brother's word, I needed to start saving. Now, how did I save? I saved through the teachers' savings corporation. Right? I used not corporation, cooperative, through the teachers' cooperative. So when I was coming to get married, I didn't have to call for a pre-wedding party, a pre-wedding meeting. I had money already. Why? Because I had saved. So the issue is, we have got to know that as days go by, we are aging. Days are coming and going, but you have got to prepare yourself. I think it is important to understand that you are where you are by your choices. You are where you are by your choices. Your position in life today. Your position in life today is the sum total of the choices and the decisions you have ever made. That's where you are. But then we have also got to know that your choices and your decisions are or have been motivated by our family background and our education system. So we've got to come to a point where we see, this is my family background and this is the influence of the education system. Where we are educated, we are taken to school so that you can be employed. And we get to a moment where we say, I refuse, I am coming out of this system. There is no way you will ever save if you do not make a decision. There is no way your life will ever change if you don't rise up and look at the situation and say, enough is enough. Everybody has got to come to that point. You see, our system enslaves us. So for you to get out of that system, you have got to cut off some chains. When it comes to cutting off chains, it's not a small thing. I liked what Charity, Dr. Charity said. Dr. Charity said, and I really stand on that, but your children are not part of your retirement program. And I have said this many times in church. I have told the people that your children are not part of your retirement scheme. According to the scriptures, again on spiritual health, according to the scriptures, is a wise man, or a wise woman for that matter, leaves inheritance to his children and his children's children. That's a wise man. A wise man is one who makes decisions, and good decisions. So your children should benefit from you during their lifetime, and their children will benefit them even during their lifetime, because you decided to save for your children and your children's children. And you see, to do that, you don't have to start with big money. You see, that's where we miss it. I'm talking for the small man, the common man, the teacher, the preacher, whoever, that you don't have to start big. You have got to start by getting your mind balanced and your spiritual life balanced. That you have got to honor God. The first thing you need to do, you have got to honor God, because all things come from God. Your job from God. I'm glad the doctor said we have got to have gratitude. The doctor said we have got to have gratitude. Our gratitude go to God. Number one, I am breathing. You honor God. You have something to eat. You honor God. You have a job, small or big. You honor God. So you have got to honor God with your resources. Honor God with your resources. A lot of people do not know about the idea of tithing, and they think this is a way for preachers to get money. But I want you to know that tithing is a principle of God. You look for all those, you go to the foundations of those big American companies and the foundations, you will find that the owners were faithful tithers. They tithed, they gave a tenth of their income. So for you and I to get to that point where we are comfortable in our retirement, you have got to be a tither right from the beginning. You don't wait until you have big money. It is not the amount that matters. It is the principle. The principle of tithing. You study any religion in the world, and you will discover that in all the world religions, they teach on honoring God, on giving the tithe. The tenth belongs to God. So that's the first thing that you need to do. Whether it doesn't matter who you are, you have got to be a giver. If you don't believe in God, you give, and you will see it affecting your life. Why? Because when you come to the farm, if you do not give the soil any seed, it will never give you back anything. The soil will not ask you which church do you go to, what religion do you believe in, or who are you. No, as soon as you place the seed in the soil, all things being equal, and the water is there, it will give to you. So your religion is not a condition here. It is a principle that you activate. I've activated this principle in my life right from the beginning, and I have seen it change my life. Therefore, you have got to come to a point where you decide, I am going to give to charity. I'm going to give to charity. You do not give because you have more than enough. You give because you know out of my giving, something good is going to happen. Right now, I'm remembering my wife, not my wife, my mother. I'm thinking about my mother. And anytime we harvested maize in a place called Elbagon in Nakuru, we would gather the maize, dry the maize, and then she would pick the straight ones, the good ones, and we would thresh at the top and at the bottom. And the one that was left in between was put somewhere. And she said, that one is for planting. That is for planting. But I also noticed something, that even after we had threshed the whole cob and we threw the cobs in the shamba, when the rains came, some maize would spring up from the cobs, and that's what we would eat before all the rest of the maize was ready. Why? Because those tiny little seeds which were left in the cob did not die. When they hit the ground, they germinated and they produced something. So that the principle of giving to charity, the principle of giving to the needy, the principle of giving to the poor is very, very crucial. It's very crucial, and we cannot ignore it. So, in order to prepare, you have got to get to a point where you say, okay, this is my situation. I know what I have is not enough. But my number one thing is, okay, let me pay for my rent. This is from my brother again. My brother told me, you pay your rent, because you can sleep in your house hungry, but you cannot sleep outside. So he said, let me pay for my rent. But as you pay for your rent, you put it in your mind, put it in your spirit. I am going to pay rent for 3 years. I'm going to pay rent for 5 years. After 5 years, I am not going to pay any rent. You have got to make a decision. If you are not decided and you are waiting for a bell to ring from heaven, Kunguriu, it is time to build, you will never succeed. But you have got to make a decision and say, okay, I have paid my rent. I have honored God. I have honored God with what I have. Now, whatever is left, how do I use it? And then realize this, that your employment is a training ground. It is not a permanent place. Forget about these lies that we receive on our appointment letters, saying that you are a permanent and pensionable. It is a lie. You are not permanent and you are not pensionable. There may be some little money that will be put away, but when you look at it, it's peanut. You take your employment as a training ground and give yourself a certain time. Say, I'm going to work for 5 years. After 5 years, I'm not going to work for this company. I will have my own company. I will have my own thing that I am doing. If you do that, then you will learn. You will be learning. You will be studying. How is it done? And when you study how it is done, then you can do yours. And as you do yours, even when you are employed, don't just sit there. Ask yourself, okay, I will leave work at 5. Between 5 and 9, what will I be doing? Between 5 and 10, what will I be doing? And you can decide and say, I will make sure that every day I will take 1 hour and write something. That's how you start writing your book. You will write something, or you will say, okay, I'm supposed to report to work at 8 in the morning. For me to get there, if I'm living in Ongatarongai, I need to rise up at 5 to get to Nairobi at 8. That means if I have got to get 1 hour, I would to write a book, I may need to rise up at 4. Now, many years ago, I read a book. And this book was saying how to add 1 hour to your 24. So I read a book on saying how to add 1 hour to your 24. And that book helped me. That always I look for a way. How do I add 1 hour to my 24? Because everybody has 24 hours. Everybody was given 24 hours by God. But you can add 1 hour to your 24. And that's how you end up becoming extraordinary. You come out of the ordinary. The ordinary is 24. How is that? I know the doctor said you have got to have enough sleep. Yes, enough sleep may not necessarily mean the length of the time that you spend in bed, but it is the intensity of the sleep when you hit bed. I am one of those people who, when I hit my pillow, within the next 5 minutes, I am out of this world and I just sleep. Then I will tell my mind, okay, tomorrow I am rising up at 4. Tomorrow I'm rising up at 4. And my mind will work out that when 4 comes, all the sleep is gone. I rise up and I will do a number of things while others are asleep. In fact, the Bible says, when men were asleep, the enemy planted tares. So when you are asleep, the enemy is working. So when you rise up early, you confuse the enemy, and the enemy cannot plant tares in your garden. So as a result of that, now I look at the different things that you can do. You look at the different things you can do. The first thing I did is when I went to Mombasa, I taught there for a number of things. I was taken up. It's good to confess this. I was taken up by the system there. And in Mombasa, people didn't bother about much. You are not. I was just concerned going to my work and going to church. That's all I was interested in. And for 4 years, I had nothing until I went to Nakuru. I got a transfer. I went to Nakuru, and I found the people. I found the teachers who we left college with. Someone talking about their pickup matatu, another one talking about their plot, about their shamba. Me, I had nothing, and that was a wake-up call for someone. For me, it was a wake-up call. That was 1979. 79, the first thing I did was to ask, do you have a teacher savings corporation? And they said, a cooperative. And they said, yes. I put my money in there. I put it more than I could afford. I put it there. And by 1981, I was able to take a loan. To buy a plot in Langalanga Musho in Nakuru. And I said, I'm not just going to buy it for me. I'm going to be a landlord. I'm going to build some houses. But while I was building the houses, we called them shanties in those days. And when I was building, I thought, why do I want to build while I'm renting? Why don't I move to my own property? So I decided these 3 rooms I had built, one will be a sitting room, another one will be our master bedroom, and the other one divided into 2. We have 2 bedrooms for our visitors, and then I put up a kitchen outside. That's what I did. 1982, I moved from renting houses and I went into my own house. You can imagine the relief I had that now I'm no longer renting a house. I am now in my own house. At that time, the water was outside, the washroom was outside, everything was outside. But it was my house. I took their people from everywhere. Wazungu, Nini, Americans, British. They went into my house. And we still slept very good. But in the process, I saw that it was on a quarter of an acre. So the piece, and I said, we can grow tomatoes here. We can grow tomatoes. We planted some tomatoes. Why? Because we want to see our lives change. I have sold charcoal. I sold charcoal. We even sold mandazi by the roadside, by the bus stop. But unfortunately, my wife did not know how to cook the mandazis. So when she cooked her mandazis, they did not swell. They became harder. And then she took them we sent our house girl to take them there. Nobody bought. And the kids would be very happy that we are eating mandazis, not knowing that it is our failed sales. Now, as a result of that, my mind went, okay, I am not satisfied with the status quo. And that is one other enemy that we've got to deal with, the status quo. Because a lot of us, because of our training, as soon as you know you have a pay slip that is coming, you know you have a salary that is coming, our mind enters into a state of complacency. That we are settled, we are satisfied. Now I can sit and relax. No, Bwana, there are days which are coming and you will need to act. You will need to act. So I refused to get into the status quo that I'm now comfortable. And I said, no, I'm not going to sit. So what did I do? I started buying some plots. How did I buy the plot? Through the cooperative. Save with a cooperative, take a loan and buy a plot. And in those days, they were very cheap, very, very, very cheap. 35,000, 25,000, 29,000, and you leave it there, Now that plot, it becomes now a foundation. It becomes a foundation for me, so that when I'm bouncing up, when I'm bouncing up, I have a landing. I have a landing. Now I've gotten into real estate. That as a result of what I did when I was a young man, I have some real estate. And what do? All I need with that real estate, now it's working for me. I don't have to go to the market and say, by the way, there is a piece of land here, there's a piece of land here. It will work for me. And by the time I'm hitting 80, it will still be working for me. By the time I hit 90, it will still be working for me. So we will be meeting with you at the airport. We'll be meeting with you at the airport because I took time to get myself prepared. I guess your desire was for me to come and koroga and start up 1 or 2 people to say, I am not going to stay here. I have got to rise up. I've got to rise up and come out of the average. You know, that's another enemy, the enemy called average. Because in school, we were taught if you have gotten 50 and above, stand up. All the ones with less, clap for them. Those of you with 49 and below, stand up. Come here. And you are whipped. We were trained to be average. We were trained to be average. It takes boldness to come out of that average. It takes boldness to make a decision and say, I am coming out of this situation. And and this is what Centonomy is doing, to help you and I make that decision to come out of the average, to come out of the ordinary, and realize that you can be ordinary. Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just the extra. It's just the extra. That's all. And that extra you can do. So you look at the people you are with, you look at the situation, you say, okay, everybody gets this far. I am going to go 2 steps after beyond. I'm going to do a little bit more. The moment you do a little bit more, the result will be completely different. So I would encourage every one of us, take a step, spend a little bit more. If it means taking a loan, you take a loan and pay for this class. You take a loan, pay for this class, and your life will never be the same again. Because information is power. Knowledge is power. If you capture this, your life will never be the same again. I think I want to end there, Waithaka. I know there is so much that we can talk about, but I want to stop there so that I don't take someone else's time. But thank you so very much.
Bishop, you did exactly what I asked you to do. I needed you to koroga. I needed you to do something to wake people up in the morning. Here's the thing. You know, people look at you and they see the success. You see, we've been watching you on TV for many years, and we think that it is only you have been eating people's tithe and offering from there. They didn't know that you sold makaa. They didn't know that you sold maize. They didn't know you sold tomatoes and you sold failed mandazis. They didn't know these things. They don't know. You see, Bishop, can I open up the world to your life? When I sat with you, you told me, you showed me the farm that you're working on, bananas. Didn't I see you selling bananas now?
We are growing bananas. We are growing.
Yes.
We are growing bananas. We are growing spinach. We are growing managus.
How many books have you written, Bishop?
Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 books.
Bishop has written 4 books, which are on the shelves in different bookstores that are earning him an income from something that he wrote many years ago. Bishop, you have even started a TV station. Tell us about that one.
Now, the One Accord Television, it's called the One Accord Television. We are better together. Now, this is our television. For your information, Waithaka, I've been on KBC for the last 25 years. 25 years. And those of you who have followed me, you know I never sold any water. I never sold any soil. I never sold any brooms. I just preach the word. And the word works in the lives of the people. Because I know if it has worked for me, it can work for anybody. Because God is not a respecter of persons. Now, the One Accord Television is on Pang. If you go to Pang, you will get us there. But from this coming week, we will also be on Signet. So we will be going all over the country on Signet. You hear the word of God, you hear advice, you receive something that will change your life.
Bishop, you have said you just celebrated your 70th, and you're starting a new venture when you're 70. So for all those people who have been wondering, what am I going to do when I'm that age? What am I going to do when I'm getting into that space? Doesn't mean that you stop. This is a new thing that you're doing even in that same space. This is simply amazing. Thank you.
Can I tell you something, Waithaka?
Quickly, in 1 minute.
1 minute. When I left Nakuru, I was in Nakuru for many years. I left Nakuru in my 50s, 55, when people think of retirement. That's when I came into Nairobi to start anew. Not only that, even now I am starting anew on Kangudo Road. So life is, it's there. It's your choice, your decision. Thank you so much.
Bishop, you are amazing. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you for sharing your story with us and being so honest that you've told people the truth about where you started. People think, you know, when we see people successful on TV, we think that was it. We have been challenged. We need to actually give and to do all these things that are out there. Asante, asante, asante sana. God bless you as you go. To everybody who's been listening, just remember that was Bishop Mark Kariuki of Deliverance Church International, and we thank you so much for that. We're talking about our program. It's called Centonomy Gold. Centonomy Gold is an 8-week program that will help you take a proactive approach to achieving your retirement goals. You come into class for 1 session per week on Saturdays, 8 sessions, and we're going to be talking from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. This time that you're watching here now is the time the class is actually run. And so if you're able to come into the session, you're able to actually join. And then we're talking about from the 4th of September is when the class begins. So you can begin to work from now. You can register right now for only 1,000 shillings. It's a discounted registration and a discount on your tuition because of this COVID-19 pandemic. We want to make sure that you're not going to be stressed about it. You can also make the payments in installments. So you don't have to pay the total amount at once. You can pay it in installments. And you can start off by registering on the M-Pesa pay bill number, which you can see there. You put in the account number will be your name and followed by the word gold so that we can identify where you are. If you have any inquiries, there's a number on the screen there, +254 792 283 and you can reach out to Lynette at centonomy.com. She'll be able to assist you with that. Those are the M-Pesa pay bill numbers that you can start by doing so. We have one more amazing speaker on the way. You can also, if you're in the diaspora, you're outside of Kenya, you can make the payment through the details that are on the screen there, our bank details which are on the screen there, and you can start off and we'll reach out to you. I just want to tell you this, because I know we have people at different age groups. At Centonomy, we cater for all the different age groups on this journey of wealth creation. We have the Teens Boot Camp, which is for ages 13 to 17. We've got the Campus Edition, which is ages 17 to 24. We've got Centonomy 101, which everybody should do. Once you've hit your working age 25 plus, you need to be in that session, and you can reach out to those people on the screen there. Those are the team members who can assist you with that. And Centonomy Gold, when you're in your 40s like me, I just hit 40 yesterday, and beyond, we can begin to have this discussion at a discounted rate for registration today. Our next speaker is somebody who has really been a mentor to me, somebody I've looked up to for many years. Her name is Waceke Nduati. She's the founder of Centonomy Limited. She's also an author of an amazing, amazing book called Making Sense. Making Sense is a brilliant book which tells stories about the wealth creation journey from people who've actually come through our class, and we can follow their story of wealth creation as they've gone through. It's amazing. It's available online today, and in all those various places. It's available on Amazon and various bookstores here in Kenya. And I'm announcing today, we also have the book Making Sense, Real Conversations About Personal Finance, now available in Uganda as well. So in case you want a hard copy book, you don't want to just download from Amazon, that's a great place to go. Waceke, I think I've plugged your book really well. I want to ask if you can switch on your mic where you are, and we'll be able to follow with you as we go along. Waceke, are you in the room? If you are, kindly join in. I want to add you there. Let's see if I can find you where you are. There we go. Hi, Waceke, how are you doing? I think you need to unmute. I can see
you need to unmute me.
Oh, there we go. Oh, it was me.
Yeah,
was
yeah. You need to unmute me.
My fault. I had not noticed that I had not given you the permissions yet at that point. Karibu sana. Welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Waithaka, just as I'm getting started, please also make me host because I will need to share a screen.
Sure, done.
Yeah. Good morning, and I'm just feeling so empowered by today's conversation. Bishop, you have really challenged me. You have really moved me I'm asking myself, you know, I'm in my mid-40s and I'm like, oh my goodness, I am doing too little. When I listen to you, I am doing too little. The speakers, Dawn, Carol, it's just been amazing listening to everybody. And thank you, everybody, almost 300 of us who have made time this morning to be here today. That's amazing. So today I was told to talk about income in retirement, but I'm gonna do it differently because I feel that when we first go straight to the money, we don't go through the under the surface issues. And I've just liked what everybody has been talking about today, because it's the under the surface issues we have to deal with when we're looking at retirement. And when people are thinking about retirement, that's the fear they have: money. Will I have enough money to sustain myself? But I want us to take that conversation a bit deeper. And there's an analogy that has been in my head. It came in my head about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I've learned in my life, when God gives me puts analogies in my head, he wants me to keep using them and listen to them. So my analogy is about an old car and a new car. And I think I started thinking, because I wanted to try and make meaning about all this whole pandemic. What does it mean? You know, like those of us in Nairobi were there waiting for the Cabinet Secretary of Health to announce, are we going on lockdown again? Yeah. So but it's an emotion we've gone through so many times. Yeah. So I feel like before this, and in many settings, we were driving an old car with old fuel. And this old car was going on a journey, and we were comfortable in that journey. We knew where the road was going. We knew the old car: get a job, study, go to school. So many vijana, if you're in Kenya, you know that song, yeah? Go to school, get a job, get a good job, get a house, get married, have children, retire, die, yeah? So that was the old car system. Now the world got disrupted. Our thinking got disrupted. Some of us, we may have been disrupted by the pandemic, but if you're honest with yourself, there were probably things you were feeling about your life that were not quite right, but maybe you couldn't verbalize them. Now we're on this other side, and we have a new car. Now, the new car doesn't operate like the old car. It's like taking a fuel car and an electric car. They operate totally different. So the mechanics in an electric car, even if you know how to drive your fuel engine car, you'd have to do some learning to drive the electric car. So we have this new car where we are figuring out how the mechanics work. But this is also the thing with this new car. First of all, it's going a different direction, and it requires new fuel. And a lot of the times we don't understand who's driving the car. And sometimes this is why faith comes in. God is the true driver. I'm a believer. God is the true driver of this new car. So he's the one sometimes who does the acceleration and the braking of the time. So it's just to understand the old way of doing things. And I think the Bible reference to this would be new wine. The Bible keeps saying you can't put old wine in new wineskins. Yeah, it has to be new wine in new wineskins. So we are all here. We're the new wine. We're the new car. What's the new fuel? And that's what we want to understand. So the first thing I want to ask, what does retirement mean to you? Especially after hearing somebody like the bishop speak. What does retirement actually mean to you? Because it's quite clear, the old message we got in retirement. And I am so pleased to hear retirement being talked about this way, because a while ago, before we started offering retirement classes, I am in my 40s. I did go for a couple of seminars on retirement, and they were not hitting the spot because they were really treating it as this age where you stop, life stops, experiencing stops. And let's just hope you have enough money to sit in your house, eat, and wait for visitors and your children to visit you. But that didn't resonate with me. And I'm sure it doesn't resonate with many people. So for us, it's time to redefine, what does retirement mean to you? This could be the point in life where you decide you want to go bungee jumping. Who says that you can't? Yeah. This could be the time in life when you decide you want to learn a new skill. I have an aunt who went to do her degree at 55 in USIU. Yeah. So this could be the time. So we've got to understand, even before we start thinking about money, What does retirement mean to you? Because money, and I write it in my book, Making Sense, money is a tool for the life that we want, but it is not the life. In other words, money can never be the master. It is the servant. So why sometimes we get money wrong is because we're giving money a job description it was never meant to have. It was never meant to be the master, but here you are making money the master. And we make money the master by making sure all our decisions are driven by money. Oh, I don't have enough money to do this, so I won't even think of doing it. So instead of saying, here's the job description, money, now you follow. So first things first, what does retirement mean to you? And the way I can relate with retirement, because now retirement doesn't mean stopping. It means transitioning into something different. Is 3 years ago, I transitioned out of my role as the CEO of Centonomy, the company I founded. And it took me a while to understand what that transition meant, because I first transitioned, but I was still trying to play the role. So a lot of things you're facing when you're going into retirement, because you're struggling with the fear of irrelevance, is what do I do? Who am I? Our identities have been so stuck in what we do 8 to 5 that when we are now being forced to get out of it, we don't know. And I won't lie, it is confusing. But over time, and I want to encourage anybody, if you do find yourself here, pausing for a moment is also good. Because I think we have seen so many people in a rush to feel relevant, they go and do the wrong thing. They take their pension fund and go and start a business because they're in a rush to be busy. They're in a rush to look productive. Instead of saying, do I need to wait for 3 months, and think and research and understand, who am I in this new season? And a lot of people go and try and find the same work they were doing when they retired. So take a pause. And for me, during that transition, because I let go of what I was used to doing, making day-to-day decisions in the business, being there day to day. I don't even have an office at Centonomy anymore. That's how irrelevant I got, Waithaka and his team don't need me. I'm here as a speaker just like anybody else, So it was, and it's a scary moment. It's a scary, and if you've gone through this or you're feeling this at the moment, please let me know, because you are asking, who am I? What is my purpose? What is my value? When you were busy, it was easy to find purpose. When your phone is ringing, my phone used to ring. Now I can go days and I'm like, nobody has from work has called me, But in that, I have started hearing, and I think this is where you really start hearing God, I've started understanding, even you go back to, what did I always want to do? I'm now I'm advising, sit on advisory boards for various companies, including Centonomy. I'm pretty much an advisor to Centonomy. I'm getting involved in some philanthropic work. And then I'm still discovering, but you start listening and hearing. And for me, it's like when the Egyptians crossed the desert and now they had to cross over into the promised land. I think this retirement season is the promised land. But what is the promise? Because you can't cross over to the promised land to go do the same thing that you were doing before. So what is the new promise? How are you now seeing things? When they crossed over, they had to actually even look at things differently. So what does that look like for you? So after this, go and ask, what does retirement mean to you? First, paint a picture, and then you can actually go from there. And the reason we'd say 40s and above is because even in the biblical context, after 40, you just see life a totally different way. So now when you've done that, you can now start looking at the money. And when you're answering this question, what does it mean to you? Remember, new car, new fuel. What do you want to learn? Who do you want to be? What are those things you've always told yourself that you actually want to do? And then start doing them. And the challenge I want you to remember is, if not now, when? If not now, when? If not now, when? Okay? So now let me get to the slides. Let me share a screen now. Sorry, someone has corrected me. Yes, I meant the Israelites were crossing the desert, not the Egyptians, obviously. Sorry about that. Yeah. So when you retire, or when you're working towards retirement, with money, our fear comes from we think that we are going to spend money the same way. So we think that if I was living in this house in Nairobi, that's where I have to live. If I was driving this car, that's where I have to drive. Yeah. And last year, during this whole pandemic, I left Nairobi for about 3.5 weeks and went and lived out of town. And that really started changing my mindset about what do I actually need in this new season? What do I actually need? And when I came back, I'm looking at life in Nairobi very differently. And for the first time, it has crossed my mind that even the house I live in, even the house I've struggled to pay for, I actually don't need. Once my kids are gone, they're in school, etc., I can see in a few years' time, this will be a consideration. I don't need to live in this house. So what makes retirement harder, even financially for most of us, is we are hanging on to things that we should be releasing in this new season. And by hanging on to those things, we are then not going into the new season or the new purpose that we should be going into. And let me give you an example. In the Centonomy classes, we do this budget called ABC. So I'm going to explain it how we explain it, then explain it in the context of you who's thinking about retirement. So when you spend money, categorize your expenses. Well, if you've not done this, I'm giving you a free tip. A, B, C, yeah? Where A becomes your basic. Think about, I would die if I don't have them. Those are your A expenses. Food, water, rent, or paying for your house. If you're paying school fees, maybe it's things like school fees, yeah? B are important, but if you are truthful to yourself, you wouldn't die without them. For example, driving a car. It's convenient, but you wouldn't die without it, yeah? So if you had to give it up, you will give it up and still be alive because you have your A sorted out. So car, going to the gym, certain loans, salons, things like that. They are important to us, but they are not critical, okay? And then C is everything else. These are our luxuries, our holidays, going out to eat with our friends, entertainment, and things like that. And this is just something that's always good to somebody to have to know, because money is up and down. Money is never constant. It's like the bishop was saying, the fear, I think, with a lot of us when we're facing retirement is lack of that constant income. But what retirement is forcing you to do is now think for yourself. You're supposed to, whether you like it or not, you're becoming an entrepreneur in this. So the more you spend on A, B, C, the more money that you have to have. When you need to cut money, cut it down to your A and B, or cut it down to your A, then your money lasts longer. So if you are retiring, now the new season you're in, this is just a typical example, but now the new season that you're in, what will be your A? What will be your B? What will be your C? So is living in Nairobi or living wherever you could be, living in the house you could be, and the expenses it comes with, whether it's rent, whether it's mortgage, could have been an A in your past season. Is that necessarily the case? Driving a car could have been an A or could have been a B. Is that necessarily the case? And we do the program, we don't go through budgeting. We call it a lifestyle audit, because this we're not questioning just how you're going to be spending your money. We are questioning, for this new season in your life, how do you want to live your life? Now, when you decide that, then you can say that in according to the way I want to live my life, this is now an A, this is now a B, and this is now a C. So that when you're planning your money, you know what to prioritize. If you have adult children living in your house that were formerly A's because you are feeding them, you now say, as much as we know, as we're being told, as parents, our retirement plan cannot be our kids. But also for our grown-up children, we cannot be their lifestyle plan as well. I think that's also unfair on parents, yeah? So if you are taking care of kids who are past their sell-by date, yeah? They should no longer be an A, they should be a C, yeah? And maybe you're at the point in life where doing another course for yourself to improve your skills is now going to be an A, because in this season of your life, it is important to upskill yourself. So rather than accommodating your grown-up son and daughter in the house, it is actually more important that you spend money on yourself. Kinder Dawn were talking about health, and now as we grow older, we're going to learn that maybe we treated health expense, it was just a random health insurance that we have. But as we grow older, we're going to understand there's going to be some additional expenditure in A for health, so that I can avoid certain situations that may come later in life, or manage certain situations because it is a reality of life. So I want you to go to this A, B, and C and see for this new season, what is it? Yeah, maybe you're spending a lot before your formal season, you're spending a lot of money on entertainment and random entertainment. You're going for lunch, you're meeting people, you're giving money, all that money that is going, you're financing a relative who should be taking care of themselves. Yeah, ask yourself, can that money be used for something else? Maybe it is more important for you, for your mental health, and we learned about that, to be able to say every year I need to go out of town or out of the country or out of whatever for a week. So when it comes to this new season of your life, I really want you to think, how does my A, B, C look like? And then start planning for that, even if it means having to have conversations with certain people. There's some things you are able to do, but maybe going into this new season, you may actually not be able to do. And it's just also part of living in purpose. Just because I saw somebody asking, is giving to relatives, it's good, but give it with purpose. Is there an intention behind it? Is there a goal? Is it going somewhere, or is it just forever giving with no plan at all? Is it 5,000 today, 10,000 tomorrow, then 15,000 the next day, then 2,000 the next day? So even with your giving, start becoming intentional, because this is the season of our lives. It's not just money. Even with our time and our energy, we just have to become intentional. I already know I don't have energy for everything. Yeah, so it's just becoming a lot more intentional. And let's go to the money side. Yeah, and this is the basic principle. Yeah, about income in retirement. The other version we call this is financial freedom. The other version people call this is wealth. But let me explain it and then go back, because I really want to tackle what brings in this income. Right now, we've been working, or we are working. Yeah, that work creates an income. That income you use for your expenses. And if there's anything left over, you then save the money. Okay, you save. All right. Then you also have some assets. You have a share here, you have a pension fund here that can give you a bit of income. And then you have your liabilities, maybe your debts that increase your expenditure. Now, when you're thinking about the context of retirement, this is where it falls apart, because our whole life we've been working to generate an income which enables us to meet our expenses. Then we're able to do a bit of savings. Then slowly we accumulate the assets. It manages our liabilities. Can you see what sustains this? What is sustaining this? Let me get some people giving me some answers. Let me go back. What is actually sustaining this? What is sustaining this?
So in the chat box, guys, what do you think is sustaining this program, as you can see there?
What is sustaining this life? What is sustaining this life?
You can see there, Sheke Wambui has said,
assets, job, the salary, etc. Income from work. Yeah. Now the realities, the old car, old fuel. What is the story we were told in the old car? In the old car, we were told, do this. Earn an income, spend, have a comfortable life, save a little bit for your pension, and then the day you retire, your pension fund will majestically be enough to continue sustaining the same life that you know. Lies. Pension fund is not enough. Reality, your life will have to change. Yeah. But that change is what I'm talking about. It doesn't mean it becomes of less value. It just means that the things you are doing for social status, social acceptance, you thought you had to upgrade a car, you thought you had to do this, you have to change your mindset about it because it's not going to be sustainable. And you're right, it is the work. But now we are saying in this new season, we've got to define work differently. So ultimately, this is where we want to be. You have assets, yeah, that are generating income. You see, we did not start with the work this time. It means that you have an apartment somewhere, a block of flats somewhere, a banana farm somewhere that is generating income, a business somewhere that can meet your expenses and any liabilities associated with your life if they are there. So your life is therefore not dependent on working. When we talk about the transition that we are going through when we take you for the Centonomy class, it is that working for an income to sustain the entire thing to this transition. And it requires certain moves. You have to make certain moves. Number one, we people tend to save comfortably. Yeah. Did you see the other slide? I said you work, earn an income, spend, and then save. Yeah. So what are we saying? Once we are finished spending, if I earn 100,000 shillings, I spend rent, life, then comfortably what is left over is 20,000 shillings. So I save the 20,000 shillings. This is what I'm telling you about retirement. No, it has to move to 50,000 shillings. Whether or not you think you can afford it today, it has to move to 50,000 shillings. So the question is, where is that money going to come from? And that is where creativity about how to generate income. All of us have to learn this principle of multiplication. All of us, multiplication out of everything we're taught in maths in primary school. The most important thing for wealth creation is multiplication. Yeah, because addition is 2 plus 2 becomes 4 plus 2 becomes 6. Okay, or 5 times 2 plus 2 becomes 7. But 5 times 2 is 10. That's why multiplication is more powerful. Then, of course, there's division and subtraction, which are not part of this. Yeah. So before we were doing adding, let me work, save, add, save my 20K, becomes 40K, and 60, put it in some assets, throw it there, whatever. No, now we're saying in this stage, I know people think about retirement as where you have to do less risk and things like that. You have to be, this is the word, it's not about less risk. You have to be more intentional and more focused and more sure about what you are doing. But this is the age where 20 becomes 100. We don't have 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 to go 5 cycles. We have to do 20 becoming 100. Okay? All right? So that is multiplication. Yeah. And how do we do that? How do we do that? Yeah. And Margaret, I can see people are saying, great, you're saving 80% of your income. First of all, it's that, save more. But secondly, it's, you know, those things I talked to you about before, and I told you my story where I'm now seeing my expertise can go into boards of other companies and others. I've written my first book. I've been challenged by Bishop today. At the end of this month, I want to seriously work on my next book because I've been challenged. I can't sit here with one book and people have 5 books in the bookstop. Yeah. So what do you do? So there's your normal income if you have an income now, but it's time to think about what are those skills you have had and where can you put them to use that can start giving you an income at the same time. You could have been working as an accountant, but now it's time to say, I have these accounting skills, but there are many businesses out there. They may not be able to afford a full-time accountant at your level, but there's many small businesses that need financial advisory that you can give them as a part-time role. And there you go. Not only are you impacting people with your skill, you're then using it to generate an income. This is no longer just income for income's sake. It is also doing something. Do you have land that you're doing nothing with? Can you grow something on that land? So it's just time to holistically look at what do you have and where can your energies best be placed. Okay. Assets that generate an income. What assets are you sitting on, believing that they are assets, but they are not income generating? And if you rethought them, they could be income generating. The home is the biggest thing that holds people like this, because for many of them, most of their financial abilities or financial investment went into a house. Yeah, a lot of people, as we talk to a lot of people, we realize a lot of people, majority of their finances went into a house. And even if they paid a mortgage and anything, this is the place people are finding themselves at retirement. You have a house, and that's really most of what you did. You go to the supermarket. Tell me which supermarket says homeowners pass here with your full trolley. No, at the supermarket, you don't need your house to buy food. At the supermarket, you need income. Yeah, so it's having a house is good. Yeah, but over and above the house, you need income. And what it's forcing people who have not prepared like that is at the point of retirement, if all they have is a house, they are now forced to make decisions with that house that they worked so hard for. Sell the house, rent the house, so that they can have an income to sustain themselves. In the African context, many people like land. People boast about having land, but you find they can't go to the supermarket to buy food because land is not cash. So unless you turn that land into something that generates money, you're farming on it, you're leasing it, you're building on it, in retirement, what you actually need is income. Okay. Now, we're not telling you have to be at the perfect. I'm not saying this to scare anybody, but it's about starting to change your mind now so that you can arrive there. It could be your next level. It could be you doing something completely different that starts generating you income that you will invest accordingly so that you can actually be able to do this journey. And as we go forward, even in our aspirations of life, as I end, yeah, as we're doing this journey, just remember that beyond surviving, we all have aspirations for different things. We all have aspirations, but it's time to think differently about aspirations. And I was talking to a family just last week, and someone said, my aspiration would be to travel all over Kenya. I want to have a house in Nanyuki. I want to have a house in Diani. I want to have a house in Masai Mara. I was like, very good aspirations. But can we also get out of the trap of ownership versus experiences? What do you want? You want to experience all those places. You don't have to own them to experience them. Yeah, because we tie up a lot of things in trying to own things because we take pride in ownership, and we're very caught up in what do I leave for my children? That's valid, but it's not everything. So even as you're aspiring for different things, just understand that you don't have to always own. You don't completely have to own a business to be able to do certain things that you actually want to do. So just understand what parts of my aspirations require ownership, or what parts require you to think differently about how to add value or how to impact in those spaces. But as I started in the beginning with old car, new car, it is really a new journey. As I see Bishop Kariuki, as I see my own parents who are in their 70s, and I can't even schedule time with them most of the times to see them because they are so busy. It's just time to think differently about retirement, and if not now, when? And that's the question. Even when we're in the class, we want to help you answer. Thank you very much.
Waceke, I mean, if you see the comments that are coming through Facebook, thank you so much. Everybody who's watching on Facebook, everybody who's watching on YouTube, it's touching a nerve. This issue of retirement is touching a real nerve in our society, and we have to take it seriously. Right from the beginning of this discussion, what Charity was talking about, and she said it very plainly, that you're rushing towards poverty in retirement if you don't think about it and have a plan. Thank you so much to Dr. Caroline and Dr. Dawn from Valentis Health, because they told us that it's not just about finances. We have to slow down and begin to think about what we're going to work. I love that you talk about taking time for yourself, Waceke. That was it. And that whole idea of gratitude. And Bishop Mark, who told his story of even what he's doing now in his 70s. He's now a farmer. He's now starting a TV station. This is the kind of purpose that we're talking about. Waceke, tell people a little bit about your book, because I know everyone is wondering this thing called Making Sense. What is it? What is it all about?
All right. Okay. I'll get people to share on the screen or on the chat where to get the book. But the book is a personal. Let me take 2 minutes. I tell the story of this book. I don't like making sense without the story. It took me 2 years to write this book. Yeah, and I want you to understand, even as you think about retirement, use of time. Do you know where I wrote majority of this book? In traffic. Because it takes almost 1.5 hours from my house to the office. Yeah. So I got help of my colleague Victor, who would drive me. Yeah. And for a year or so, I wrote the book. I would just sit and write the book in traffic. So you know what Bishop was talking about, adding 1 hour to your day? That was how I added 1 hour to my day, and it has resulted in my first book. But this book is a storybook. I first wrote it, and then I left it because I was like, it's reading too much like a how-to book. I decided to write my story because I always believe we can only teach what we have experienced. Yeah, that is what I have to give. My experiences, I've always said God has put me on earth so that my message can become message. Yeah, and so this book is about the messages that are messages. So it's a story. And it touches my story. It touches the story of 3 other people, Douglas, Faith, Dishon, who in various things have gone through a journey with money, how they've done it, how they've come out of it, what beliefs they had in their childhood that led them back, struggling with other people's opinion. Faith and her husband had to make the hard decision of selling their house so that they can create wealth. And Dishon is a young guy who just decided to go into business, and at a very young age, instead of finishing school, and what he has done. So I think because it's a storybook of people in the African context, particularly the Kenyan context, it's relatable. So this is not a story about how somebody in the US made it. It's people like us in the same economy, with the same issues, with the same problems. And yeah, so this is the first book, Making Sense. There'll be more versions of Making Sense coming out. So you can get it, the details are on screen. And yeah, let me know what you think. It's about real conversations. Yeah.
Waceke, as always, amazing. and it's difficult in a short session like this to explain what the experience is like when you come for a Centonomy class. Please talk to our alumni. Go watch the videos that we have on Facebook, on YouTube. It's really powerful. The Centonomy Gold program, which is what we've been talking to you about today, is an 8-week program that will help you take that proactive approach to achieving your retirement goals, the ones that Charity started off talking to us about, once a week for 8 weeks, starting on the 4th of September, so you can begin to plan at a time like this, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. so that you can begin to make those plans. All the questions that are coming through: what's the tax implications on my pension? How do I access my pension? How do I start thinking about starting a new business? How do I release my time and use my networks and use all the assets that I've built at this time to get my retirement in place? That's what this is designed for. We partner with companies like Valentis Health to talk about the health element, physical and mental health. It's going to be life-changing for all of you who are coming into it. We discuss all these issues. What are we transition? When we say retire, as you heard, it is transitioning into. What are you going to be doing during this time? Many people, you're used to waking up and just leaving the house and going to the office. Now, when you don't have an office to go to, what will you do with your time? We do a lifestyle audit, what Waceke was talking about, so you understand what your life actually costs and begin to think what assets will get us there. Not just the assets that you bought, but even your internal, what we call non-financial assets. What can they do for you? Those skills that Waceke was mentioning, those talents, those gifts, those abilities, how do we use them? How do we manage debt in this season of life? How do we invest for the security that we're talking about? And then we start looking deeply into that abundant life at this time. When you're saying every year I need to travel, Bishop, let's meet at the airport, as you talked about earlier on. Turning your skills into opportunities, and then legacy. I love that many of us here have been talking about leaving an inheritance for our children. This is what we want to achieve, that we're not going to become a burden for our children. So the cost is only to register today. Please do quickly, because this is a special offer for you for showing up on this session today. It's only 1,000 shillings or $10, wherever you are in the world. And then you can pay the rest in installments as you come closer to the class, which starts on the 4th of September. And you can make the payment through M-Pesa, or you can do it through the bank details that are there on the screen. Now, a couple of questions are coming through. At what age is this important for us? You can prepare for retirement at whatever age that you are. What I wanted to make clear is that the Centonomy Gold is preparing you for that immediate transition. It is the one that is now going to help you to understand these very specific issues. But at Centonomy, we offer other programs that are doing exactly the same, building you towards that retirement age, but at an appropriate level for where we are. We deal with teenagers, and we've got our Teens Bootcamp, which is running at Current Country Club next week, and you can register for that as well here. If you have a teenager, let them start learning these principles today as early as possible. If you have got a campus student in your life, or you are a campus student, age 17 to 24, the campus edition is designed for you, and the same principles that we're learning that have been adjusted for your current status are what we're going to deal with that. Then we have Centonomy 101, and Centonomy 101 will be giving you a very broad understanding of your finances and how your personal finance can get you to the wealth that is required for your retirement. And this one is from anyone 25 and above that you can be able to join. I've seen a couple of our alumni joining in and saying, hey, I've done Centonomy 101 and I'm 40. I'm 39. Can I do the Centonomy Gold? Yes, you can. We have had people as young as 29 in the Centonomy Gold program because they wanted to start thinking as early as possible about these issues, and they've come into the program. But we are offering these so that you can be able to make sure that you get into the right place. And don't fear, if you register and you come, we will counsel you into which is the right place for you to go. But today, because we are focusing on Centonomy Gold, I want you to understand this program, as we said, it's designed to help you for that transition that you're looking for into retirement. Will last years to build your pension. When you're in the Centonomy Gold, now you're looking at how do I access it? How do I use it? That's what the kind of discussion is, so that you can see the difference between the two programs. But listen, don't feel that you have to, that we are forcing you into any one of these places. When you speak to us, when you register, we will counsel you into the right place for you at this time. The Centonomy Gold program is designed, as I told you, to help us with that transition into a healthy, vibrant, abundant retirement that we're talking about here, which is not just sitting back and doing nothing. As you heard, Waceke is now, she has moved out of the work at Centonomy and is writing books. She's on boards of different companies. Look at Bishop, who is on his 5th book. Bishop is farming. Bishop is starting a new company, running a TV station. I mean, in his 70s. Look, I'm looking forward now. How many is that? 40, 50, 60. I have 30 years before I will join you, Bishop, in that journey as well. I'm looking towards that as we go forward. So what we want you to do is make that commitment. Remember what we're talking about. Bishop mentioned decisions. Dr. Carol and Dr. Dawn from Valentis Health said decisions. Charity in this session said this, you have to decide, give it a target, make it a goal. I want you to make the Centonomy class a goal. It starts on the 4th of September, but as I said, all the other programs also are coming up as well. I want you to make this a goal for yourself, because you are going to be able to get into those places. There are too many questions, guys, about where you can get all the information about the programs. Go to centonomy.com, centonomy.com, and you can click down, centonomy.com, just go, our website has all the details on the various programs that we run. Go click on centonomy.com and look at our online programs, and you will see which one best fits you. As we have said, Centonomy Gold is for you who are getting into that transition stage. And now you're saying, I need the information that's going to help me now. I need it right now. For those in other stages, we'll be able to assist you with that. Listen, all the details, the pricing, the timing of the classes is available on centonomy.com. For those who are here in Zoom, we'll type it in the chat box, www.centonomy.com. Just click on that link that is now there, in the chat box, and you will begin to see now what that looks like, where you can get all the information about the programs that we're running. Everybody can be able to check for themselves. If you have children, let them come for the Teens Bootcamp and for the campus edition. If you are in that stage, let yourself go there. We want to host you and help you on your wealth creation journey at whatever stage you are in. The Centonomy Gold has been amazing. To my team, please, on the social media handles, please also indicate where they can find all the information about the programs that are there. But what we want you to understand is that it is about making a decision. If you decide to learn, pick up a book, like what we said, Making Sense earlier on. If you can pick up that book and start learning now, that's a decision that you have made. If you can make a decision and say, I want to attend one of these classes because it's going to get me to think differently and transition into a different way of life. I've seen so many comments from people on the chat box. Thank you to all our alumni who are here. Guys who are saying, you know what, I attended the Centonomy class and everything changed for me. That's right. Thank God for that. We're really privileged to have been on that journey with you. But it is something that each one of us has to begin to think through. So I want you to register for the class. Centonomy Gold, it starts on the 4th of September. For anyone, tell your parents, hey, if you've been struggling, you've been sending money home to your parents and you're wondering, how do we help them? Invest in a class like this so that they can see how much value they have. One of the things is when you've been an employee for so many years, you don't know how to release the value that is within you and offer it in a different space. That's kind of the discussion that we're going to have here. How do you deal with some of the issues that are going to be a major part of your life over the next 20, 30, 40 years after you've left your employment? These are the kind of things that we discuss in this class. It has been an amazing morning, and it has been a privilege to host you. For everyone who's in the Zoom room, can we put our hands together for all our speakers? For Charity Siganga, who started off so well. Can we put our hands together for Dr. Dawn and Dr. Caroline from Valentis Health? Can you give them a hand for what they're doing? Excellent, excellent. Type your thanks in the chat box for those of you in the comments on Facebook and on YouTube. Say thank you to all these people who gave their time to come and share their experiences. Can we put our hands together for Waceke and Nduati, who's openly sharing her experiences with everybody, writing a book and saying, hey, this is what I went through, and I want to make sure that you can be able to learn from our experiences. It has been a pleasure for all of us here, at Centonomy. Make the decision today. Sign up for the class, because when you sign up, it will change your life. Even the way that you start thinking. This is what we're here for. Thank you for giving us an extra 30 minutes of your time. We didn't want to go too far, but we wanted to make sure that everybody leaves with that great value that has been there. We are grateful. All this is available on our social media platform on Facebook and on YouTube. So you can go back in case you missed any of the earlier speakers. Go onto our YouTube and to our Facebook right now. You'll see that it is live and you'll be able to get all the information that you've been looking for. Go to our website, centonomy.com. And we want to see you in class on the 4th of September. It's going to be amazing. From us here, myself, Waithaka Gatumia, God bless you. See you in class.